was a Madden stud, and with that, we say good Tuesday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. We got Kristen starting for Nick this morning. You got Brandon, you got Wilds, I'm Jenna Wolf. Brandon, if you played today, give me a number. What would your Madden rating be? Go ahead,
You know what? I'll probably be, I'm 10 pounds heavy. I'll probably be 93. 93? How's that sound?
If you play now.
What do you think?
Are you playing now?
That sounds high.
93.
Now, 93.
What you thought I was going to say, 70? Please. When you have hands, they never lose you.
We start, though. Big news out of Green Bay yesterday where Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are reportedly close to a new deal, one that would bring the MVP back this season. This following a drama-filled offseason where Rodgers made it known he was unhappy, big unhappy up there. Well, maybe this helps. This new agreement gives Rodgers the option to leave the Packers after this year. And check this out. As soon as the news dropped, Aaron on a plane. Destination, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Landed just after midnight. He needed to stretch out. He's very tall. Ready to report for camp today. So, Brandon, let me start with you. So much going on yesterday, but at least we know Aaron Rodgers is in Green Bay this season. What do you make of all of this?
Aaron Rodgers, first off, Jenna, Aaron Rodgers could have probably saved around $20,000 if he didn't fly the Challenger and flew the Hawker. That's too big of a plane. You're going to Wisconsin. It's probably you and the dog on the plane, maybe your lady. That's it. You don't need that big of a plane, Aaron Rodgers. More drama. That's all he wants to do is add more drama. Look, there's so much we can talk about around Aaron Rodgers. We can talk about the contract. And look, the biggest thing here, outside of all these concessions that the Green Bay Packers threw out Aaron Rodgers to entice him to come back is at the end of this year, he will be a free agent, no strings attached. Okay, we can also talk about this guy, Davante Adams. We can talk about Davante Adams and what does this mean for him. We could talk about the trickle-down effect in the locker room. We could talk about how do they move forward. What is it going to feel like? There's two things that I think really stands out for me. One, the precedent is set in the National Football League now. Let's say Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, maybe they have an okay year. Now, do you have Russell Wilson go to Pete Carroll and company and say, look, you saw what Aaron Rodgers did last year? That's what I want. I want to be gone. I don't want any drama, but I want to be gone, so give me that type of deal. In the National Football League, when you sit down with management, when you sit down with ownership and you're negotiating terms or you're asking for things maybe before your contract's up, the first thing that comes to mind for them and something that they will look you in your eyes and tell you is, we can't do that because we don't want to set that precedent. We don't want other guys coming in and asking us for the same thing. So this is unprecedented when you think about a team restructuring the deal the way they restructured the deal, Wilds. And then on the other side, we're talking about delayed drama. That's what this is. This is delayed drama. We're talking about a couple of weeks. Everybody's going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers. Oh, what are you going to do? We're playing well. Are you going to stay? We're playing bad. Where are you going? So this is delayed drama. We're going to be talking about this all year. There's 5. You have an opportunity in the National Football League, if you're good, Wilds, to play 5 primetime games, right? They have 5 primetime games, and that's all we're going to be talking about. So the precedent is set, a new precedent, and this is delayed drama.
So the precedent angle, I think, is interesting, Brandon, because the precedent for Aaron Rodgers was Carson Palmer, and they share the same agent, so that the threat of retirement was real. I wonder if other quarterbacks can kind of pull that lever. If I don't see Russell Wilson actually threatening retirement. I just don't see it happening. So I wonder if there's going to be another machination where guys are able to sort of.
Maybe he pulls out the baseball card, Wilds.
Just a quick thing about the. Brandon has mentioned Russell Wilson playing baseball more than once. I'm just going to put it out there. Brandon puts on his little news cap. It says journalist on the side. And it's like, you've mentioned Russell Wilson playing baseball a few times. So pay attention, Mariners. Broussard, to me, I've also read that this has been a win-win situation, and I totally disagree. It's a win if you get engaged. You'd be like, oh, hey, happy engagement. I'm so happy for you. It's not a win if you're married and then your wife is going to leave you and you're like, well, phew, I saved the day. Now we're just engaged. What? Yeah, I guess. Kind of that's a win for you because they've got 1 year to figure it out. And like Brandon said, I don't think this is going to be sort of a nice, easy year. We just saw it with Tom Brady in New England. And granted, the Patriots went 12-4, but that whole year was just kind of weird, and it always felt like he had one step out the door. Now, granted, that was because Tom had already sold his house, so it felt like he was gone regardless of how well the Patriots did, and he didn't throw sort of a pick six to end the game against the Titans. But I think, optimistically, Broussard, I think there's a chance Aaron Rodgers comes back. I don't actually think he wants to leave Green Bay. He's on the record saying that he wants to finish his career there. He's always been very pro-Green Bay and anti-management. So I know that everyone's like, oh, this is his last year, last dance. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think if they play well, they make some moves, bring in Randall Cobb, that Trey Wingo says all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers wants to bring in Randall Cobb. I think this is not necessarily his last year, that they could play well, that Packers management can do right by him, and then he can still finish his career in Green Bay. Do you think that's a possibility, or am I just being wildly optimistic in the morning?
No, absolutely, Wiles. I totally agree with you on that second point. I disagree with your first point about this not being a win-win, but I do agree. I think there is a chance that Rodgers plays there next season. What if they win the Super Bowl? They're not my pick, but they're clearly a contender. If they win the Super Bowl, I mean, he could leave, but I doubt that he would, especially if the likelihood of Devontae Adams getting locked up in a long-term deal. What if they get close again, but they've done all the things he likes in the organization? And that's what I'm interested in. What are the concessions, the other concessions? We know about the contract. But Gutekunst, right? Brian Gutekunst, he had a problem with him. So what does Gutekunst have to do? Can he, not be in the building when Aaron Rodgers is there? And does he have to address him as Mr. Rodgers in front of the team? What
that's exactly what he has to do.
I mean, what's going to make Rodgers feel good about Gutekunst? So I'm interested in that. But I think it's a win-win, Wilds, because I feel like, look, both sides came a certain, gave a little. The Packers gave up that last year of the deal, which, remember, didn't have any guaranteed money, so I don't think it's that big of a deal for them. They still got him for one more year after this if they want him without the guaranteed money on it. But then Rodgers seems to be coming in the camp happy. I really feel like they're going to be able to start, and it's going to be they'll laugh about what happened this summer. And I don't think this is going to be a distraction to the players, especially if they lock up Devontae. So I think that this is the best case scenario. I was expecting him to be back, but I was expecting there to be some drama. Oh, how, is he happy? He's upset. Now I think he's going to be fine because part of his motivation was to make them sweat, Brandon. They had embarrassed him publicly, at least in his eyes, by drafting Jordan Love and not telling him. So he wanted to make them sweat publicly, and that's what he did. Now he's got what he wants, his freedom potentially.
So petty.
I think he's happy, Brandon. Yeah, it is.
Little petty Packer. We're going to call him a petty Packer all year. That's who Aaron Rodgers is. Look. You said something interesting, Chris. I mean, what happens if they win a Super Bowl? This is an organization that had two first ballot Hall of Famers. They only got 2 Super Bowls out of them, but out of the last 20 years, they've been contenders. Aaron Rodgers, 16 years in Green Bay, and he's Mr. Playoff. So, that is not the question. The question is, can they get over the hump? Will they actually be aggressive at the trade deadline in October and make a move? That's what Aaron Rodgers wants to see. But let's say they, it's hard to win the Super Bowl. Let's say they win the Super Bowl. Then what are they going to do, Jenna? Chris is right. Now Aaron Rodgers is going to be sitting there man, joke's on me now. Maybe I got to stay. Let me get that extension. But really quickly, Chris, you asked what Brian Gutekunst has to do. Brian Gutekunst has to meet Aaron Rodgers at every single touch point. Mr. Rodgers comes every morning at 7 a.m. He's one of the first to the facility. He needs to be there to park his car, valet his car. Hey, Mr. Rodgers, I'm here to park your car. And then he then transitions into the cafeteria. He goes into the cafeteria, Jenna, and guess what he has to do? Hey, Mr. Rodgers, here's 4 eggs. Here's your egg white omelet. We know you like avocado on the side with a little oatmeal, and here's your spoon. And then after practice, here's your ice, Mr. Rodgers. So he needs to touch Aaron Rodgers at every single touch point. Sorry.
Well, let's see if that's the case, Brandon. Team practice gets underway tomorrow. Everybody's now reported. Let's see if Guten